Francesco Bagnaia, frustrated and angry at Michelin after his Misano nightmare. Michelin's response to Bagnaia's tyre problems in the Emilia-Romagna MotoGP. Let's discuss. Watch until the end. Francesco Bagnaia kicked off the Emilia-Romagna race aiming for a flawless home double after his victory in Saturday's sprint, looking to secure Ducati's 100th Grand Prix win in his 100th start. Winning the race would also put Bagnaia back at the top of the MotoGP Championship standings, ahead of Jorge Martin. Although Martin snagged the whole shot in the sprint, Bagnaia, who started from pole, was again outpaced by the Pramac rider at turn 1. This time, however, the reigning two-time champion skillfully passed Martin at turn 2. Everything appeared to be going according to plan for Pecco, but trouble was on the horizon as the rear of his Ducati started to jerk out of a few corners. While only Martin had managed to keep pace with Bagnaia throughout the weekend, a group of riders began forming behind him. Recognizing Bagnaia's vulnerability, Martin and Enea Bastianini overtook him on lap 4 of 27, quickly pulling away. Bagnaia managed to hold on to third, and after clocking a 1 minute 32 seconds on the opening lap, he impressively set a new lap record of 1 minute 30.877 seconds in the middle stages of the race. After the start, I thought, okay, I can manage the pace and control the distance, Bagnaia told MotoGP.com, but I lost a lot of time in all the accelerations. I lost the rear tyre in the warm-up lap at the last corner, then again on the first lap in turn 13. The rear tyre finally started to perform after 15 laps. It was incredible. Once the medium rear tyre, used by all riders except Marco Bezzecchi, began to work, Bagnaia started chasing the leaders. However, disaster struck with 7 laps to go when he lost control while braking at turn 8, leaving the home crowd in shock as he recorded his 7th DNF of the season. For the second time in 3 races, Bagnaia cited tyre issues as the culprit. "I had some problems with the front wheel locking from the start of the race," he explained. "Even when the rear tyre started to perform well after 15 laps, allowing me to set the fastest lap of the race twice, I had to be careful while braking. I started to push, but I tried not to overdo it with the front because I didn't have a good feel for it. I braked 18 or 20 meters earlier than during my fastest lap, and I lost the front without even being at an angle. It's impossible to lose control like that in dry conditions. Today was really strange, and it's happened to us twice in the last 3 Grands Prix. So maybe it'll happen to others soon." Bagnaia, who had also complained about front tyre issues during the Aragon sprint, expressed his frustration. "You work so hard, you're the fastest and strongest, and you know you have the potential to win. Then something out of your control ruins your result," he lamented. "It's easy to say I could have retired and settled for third, but when you know you have the speed and can control your pace, crashing is just heartbreaking. I'm really frustrated and angry that this keeps happening in our championship. But that's just how it is." Francesco Bagnaia's concerns following the Emilia-Romagna MotoGP have been downplayed by Michelin, despite the Ducati rider's insistence that a rear tyre issue significantly affected his race pace. Michelin, the official tyre supplier for MotoGP, stated that an initial examination revealed no apparent fault with Bagnaia's tyre. However, the French manufacturer acknowledged that they would need to gather more data from Ducati to fully understand what may have transpired during the race at the Misano circuit. The controversy arose after Bagnaia experienced a sudden and unexplained drop in performance after being overtaken by teammate Enea Bastianini on lap 5 of the 27-lap event. The incident not only affected Bagnaia's ability to fight for second place, but also put his podium finish at risk, as Gresini's Marc Marquez began closing the gap. Strangely enough, Bagnaia's pace rebounded midway through the race, allowing him to break through the 1 minute 31 second lap time barrier, even setting the fastest lap of the race on lap 16. In his post-race debrief, Bagnaia directly pointed to the tyres as the source of his erratic performance. The reigning world champion expressed frustration, explaining that it was the first time he had encountered such a significant issue with the rear tyre, which he claimed didn't work for the first 15 laps. Despite this, Bagnaia was careful not to place outright blame on Michelin, acknowledging that any potential issue was likely unintentional. "My mental state is one of frustration. Not with Michelin, they're doing their best. But I can't help being upset," Bagnaia explained after the race. You get pole position, win the sprint race, and then have a good start in the main race, only to see it all fall apart. You're leading the race, and suddenly you're losing over 3 seconds and can't push like you need to. That's really hard to accept. Bagnaia's frustrations were compounded when, after his resurgence in the middle stages of the race, he ultimately crashed out on lap 21, ending any hopes of salvaging a podium finish. Although Bagnaia was quick to attribute his difficulties to the tyre, Michelin has been less convinced that the tyre itself was to blame. According to the tyre supplier's preliminary investigation, Bagnaia's sudden drop in pace likely had other contributing factors. Piero Taramasso, Michelin's manager for two-wheel motorsport, commented on the situation, stating, "We haven't found anything wrong with the rear tyre in the data we've seen so far." Pecco led the race for the first few laps, but then he lost about 0.3 of a second per lap for a short period. After lap 12, his pace suddenly returned and he set the fastest lap of the race on lap 16, which shows that his speed was still there. We are still waiting for more information from Ducati to better understand what happened, but based on the lap times alone, there doesn't seem to be a major issue with the tyre. Taramasso also noted the inconsistencies between Bagnaia's on-track performance and his post-race comments. Pecco mentioned that the rear tyre didn't work well in the beginning, but his lap times in the first 4 laps were actually quite strong. The data shows that after a slight drop, he was able to regain his pace and even posted the fastest lap of the race. We're analyzing all the information and will have a clearer picture once we receive the full data from Ducati. Michelin's new tyre compound, which was introduced this season, has generally received positive feedback from the MotoGP paddock. Riders have been able to break lap records at several circuits, demonstrating the tyre's performance potential. In fact, during qualifying for the Emilia-Romagna GP, Bagnaia came close to making history with the first ever sub-90-second lap at Misano, securing pole position in the process. Despite these achievements, there have been occasional complaints from riders about the tyre's unpredictability. Bagnaia is not the first rider to express dissatisfaction with Michelin's tyres this season. Jorge Martin, who narrowly missed out on the 2023 World Championship, has been particularly vocal, blaming a tyre failure for his disappointing result at the final round in Qatar. While Michelin acknowledges that no tyre is perfect, the company remains confident in the overall performance of its product. The tyre manufacturer is committed to investigating Bagnaia's issues thoroughly, but insists that the initial data does not support the idea that the rear tyre was the primary cause of his troubles at Misano. For now, Bagnaia and Ducati will need to wait for further analysis to determine the root cause of the performance drop and whether it was the tyre, the bike setup, or some other factor that led to the dramatic shift in pace. Michelin, meanwhile, remains focused on continuing to develop and fine-tune their tyre technology, ensuring the highest performance standards for all riders in the championship. Hey MotoGP fans, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest action.